So our game placed 39th for innovation at Ludum Dare 58, and it was just about a spider catching some flies. But we're not really here to talk about a spider story. It's more about two guys who kept starting game dev, and we finally have something we can talk about. We should probably introduce ourselves first, though. I'm Connor.
And I'm John. Two childhood friends who used to make forts, stop-motion Lego movies, and games with literally dozens of players. Like dozens.
So yeah, we didn't exactly come into Ludum Dare as professional game devs, more like chronically relapsing game dev hobbyists. I've definitely played more games than I've made, but that ratio needed to change. And when we say started with a game jam, we really mean started again, for like the fourth or fifth time. Every dev podcast out there says you need to make a few clunkers before you can make something worth talking about. So we made sure to get those clunkers out of the way early.
Speaking of our clunkers, our first jam game was Deep Freeze. We had a decent idea, but we paired that with a terrible sleep schedule. We figured out what scope creep really meant, but we shipped anyways.
Yeah, and for our next jam, we made a game called Cartagian, which was an extremely overambitious card battler, which we probably wouldn't recommend doing. We never quite found the fun, and definitely didn't finish, so when Ludum Dare 58 rolled around, we were ready to try again.
By October 3rd, we had our team of 4 set, a GitHub repo set up, and we had all dusted off Godot.
And the theme released, it was Collector, and naturally, just like everyone else, our first thought was Psycho Murderer collecting heads, because no idea is a bad idea, right?
We brainstormed using a classroom with a blackboard on my side and a Miro board remotely with Connor. In about 25 minutes, we had 20 workable pitches, from garbage collection to cozy games about collecting rainwater.
And eventually we stumbled onto the spider idea. Build a web, catch insects, and manage the breakage. Simple rules with ideas we could easily expand upon. And from there we were off.
Right away we split up the work. I took the web building tool. For once in my life, something actually came together quickly. I had a working rough prototype done by the end of night 1. Usually I spend an entire jam weekend buried in documentation and YouTube tutorials, but I got lucky using Godot's Line 2D class to help with the rendering.
Yeah, and I took the fly spawner and movement. I started by drawing a fly in Sprite, brought it into Godot, and gave it a sine wave flight pattern. Then I spammed a bunch of them and put them in the scene. Suddenly we had web plus flies colliding. We had never gone from idea to prototyping that fast. We were cooking.
By day 2, we had unfortunately lost 2 team members to life and responsibilities. So, we doubled our workload and leaned into the minimal scope. I spent the morning making the webs reinforce and break under load, added limits to the amount of web you had per level, and then I created a rudimentary UI.
Meanwhile, I made a few levels and then moved on to the game state machine. Start, prep, action, score, next level, the standard stuff. The structure made tuning way easier.
By the end of day 2, we actually had a real loop working, which was dangerous because that's when scope creep tries to sneak in with ideas like, 5 bug types, collection log, secrets, an upgrade tree.
Hey, stop that. Get out of here, scope creep.
Day 3 was polish. Fonts, color palette, cohesive and complete UI, particle effects, sound effects, and music. I also wasted way too much time messing with GPU particles before realizing CPU particles fit the use. It was a classic jam move.
Yeah, and we also got to do something we've never done in a jam before, which was real level iteration. Build, test, and adjust. Normally you just ship level 1 untouched because you're out of time. This time we actually felt like we were tweaking the level difficulty as we were going. In total, we ended up with 5 levels, added a scoreboard, sprinkled some music in, and provided the player with feedback. And one last thing.
The perfect stamp that popped up on a level if you didn't miss a fly. I'd say it was like probably the keystone of the whole project. I built out the itch.io and Ludum Dare pages. We hit submit with a couple hours to spare, and got straight into reviewing some other games.
Reviews started rolling in while we were playing some other entries. Shout out to Clunk's Adventure, Clear Skies, and a bunch of others that punched way above the jam budget. Watching other people play your game is amazing, but it's also stressful. For example, I watched my wife click over and over in a spot where I know I didn't put a collider. It was painful, but it was also very insightful.
One of the best parts about doing a game jam is actually the learning experience. So here's us trying to condense the things we learned this time around. Number 1, team reliability is never guaranteed. We had to stay ready to absorb workload, and we ended up having to.
2. Ideas are cheap, And prototypes are everything. Getting a minimum viable product early allowed us to tweak and iterate on our design choices to make a better product, something we've never had the time to do in the past.
And then 3, we found a workflow that worked for us. We would each take one major subsystem, separate, work on it until we hit a minimum viable product, then we'd converge again and refine the product, saving polish for the end.
And 4, finishing is a skill. Knowing how to fend off scope creep is huge. Ideas are cheap, but actually implementing them takes time, and you might not have that time. In past jams, I'd finish and not touch game dev for years. Not this time. We're here. Devlog 1 done, and moving on to the next thing.
Just a quick shout out as well. The jam weekend happened while we were both training for a half marathon together, so on day 2, combined, we both had run 22 miles. For us, WebWeaver was a small win, but honestly, it was a big shift for us. And if you're watching this and thinking about doing a game jam, do it. Ship something, learn something.
And run 22 miles. It's part of it.
Yeah.
See you next time.